Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, FISA Section 702 will expire in 6 months. In response to my questions for the record, at your confirmation hearing, you said you did not have experience with FISA, but if confirmed, you would consult with experts at DOJ. Now, you've had that opportunity. Do you support adding additional safeguards for searching Americans' communications in the 702 database?
All right, folks, buckle up because this one here gets heated. Pam Bondi, Trump's fearless former attorney, goes toe-to-toe with Senator Mazie Hirono, and what starts as a calm Senate hearing turns into a political night fight. We're talking DOJ corruption, Antifa protests, and raw accusations flying back and forth. Bondi, steady and sharp. Hirono, emotional, combative, and trying hard to land punches that just don't connect. Let's get into it.
Senator, Section 702 is a vital source of foreign intelligence and instrumental in keeping Americans safe. We also take individuals' rights of their individual rights of all Americans very seriously. And many statutory reforms to FISA have incorporate safeguards. They have to incorporate safeguards to protect our civil liberties. The Department of Justice looks forward to working with you to discuss anything regarding 702.
Appreciate
I believe
that.
my staff, and Senator, I also want to thank you for this hearing. Your staff met with my staff, and I greatly appreciate that.
Right there. That's the classic bureaucratic shuffle. Bondi's talking about safety, civil liberties, and safeguards, but she's carefully dodging Hirono's trap. This is a political sparring at its finest. Bondi's too smart to give her an opening. Hirono's looking for a gotcha, but Bondi's keeping it all polished and legalese. Textbook power move.
Thank you. We're going to be working on 702, so I appreciate the openness to further amending 702. At your confirmation hearing, you assured me that it is the Department of Justice's decision to determine what cases will be prosecuted. Last month, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was forced out. President Trump then posted the message behind me asking about prosecuting James Comey. You then appointed a new U.S. attorney who within days secured an indictment against James Comey. That social media post behind me saying, "What about Comey?" was directed to Pam. Are you the Pam that the president was referring to?
Boom. Direct hit. Hirono tries to corner Bondi, accusing her of being Trump's personal enforcer, and Bondi just owns it. No denial, no flinch. Just, I'm sure I was. That's pure confidence. Bondi doesn't take the bait. Instead, she turns it into dominance. Like, yeah, I'm the one he trusts, so what? Meanwhile, Hirono's left trying to spin it as corruption. But it just makes her look desperate.
I'm sure I was.
So it's very clear to me that when the president posts something like that, that he considers the DOJ to be his law firm and you his lawyer. And in fact, very shortly after the post to you, Comey gets indicted. Last year, President Trump's new now border czar, Tom Homan, was videotaped taking a bag with $50,000 in cash from undercover FBI agents after suggesting he could help with government contracts. Sounds like a bribe. 2 weeks ago, DOJ officials reportedly shut down the bribery investigation into Mr. Homan. Ms. Bondi, did you approve closing the Homan investigation, bribery investigation?
Senator Hirono, as I stated earlier, the Department of Justice and the FBI conducted a thorough review, and they found no credible evidence of any wrongdoing. You were also on video outside the White House protesting with a group called CASA, where Antifa members were. Does that mean you're a member of Antifa?
There it is, the flashpoint. The whole room tenses up. Bondi drops the hammer and exposes the double standard. Hirono screaming about the exorcism while standing next to Antifa-linked protesters. That's a devastating call-out. Hirono's silence says it all. She wanted to paint Bondi as corrupt, but now the mirror's turned back on her. And it's not pretty. The hypocrisy is glaring.
I simply asked the question as to whether or not you approve the shutting down of the investigation, Mr. Holman. I have to assume that you did because the FBI reports to you. But the American people would look at the situation where this person is taking a $50,000 in cash, no less, and you testified today that a thorough investigation was done. Now, I have to assume, I conclude, that since no wrongdoing was determined, that in answer to Senator Whitehouse's question, he kept the money. He kept the money, and I hope that he put that on his tax returns as income. Next question. Over 1,200 rioters were convicted of charges related to January 6th. President Trump has since pardoned nearly all of them. As if that weren't enough, last month there were reports that a lawyer for the January 6th rioters met with senior DOJ officials about setting up a compensation fund like the one that Congress set up after 9/11 to compensate these rioters. Ms. Bondi, is anyone at DOJ considering setting up a compensation fund for January 6th rioters? Yes or no?
Senator, I have had no meetings or discussions about a fund.
So would you support such a fund? Would you okay such a fund?
Senator, you can send me the information on the fund, and I'd be happy to look at it.
No, but do you think that's a good idea this is what I'm getting at. Because to actually set up a fund and to have people talking with your senior people at DOJ, political people, about creating a fund, and you won't let us know what you think about that, that's pretty unbelievable. On January 30th of this year, the Trump DOJ's Antitrust Division sued to block the merger of two tech companies. Then, well-connected lobbyists met with your political deputies who overruled the career staff and approved the merger. So there's a settlement on that. And separately, DOJ sued Ticketmaster last year for monopolizing concert tickets and forcing consumers to pay outrageous fees. Ticketmaster has hired the exact same lobbyists who met with senior DOJ political people regarding the merger of the two tech companies. So my question is, Ms. Bondi, have lobbyists met with your political deputies about the Ticketmaster case?
Senator Hirono, as I stated earlier, I am not going to discuss anything that is ongoing. Gail Slater runs the antitrust
I would
office,
say
and
that-
Gail
that-
Slater, if I can finish, Gail Slater is doing an incredible job running my antitrust unit.
It's highly likely, Ms. Bondi, that the same lobbyists who met with your people basically got rid of the antitrust case.
Senator, I don't think a lot of people
I
like
would
that
say
you were out
they're probably
protesting
meeting
with
you
Antifa.
right now. Next question. You have fired dozens of career prosecutors because they worked on cases involving President Trump or January 6th rioters. For example, one career federal prosecutor who secured over 100 convictions in Florida. He also spent time in D.C. prosecuting January 6th cases. He received an outstanding review only 2 days before you signed a memo firing him. The memo cited no reason for his firing. Are you firing career prosecutors solely because they worked on cases like January 6th that the president doesn't like?
Senator Hirono, I am not going to
Yes or
talk
no?
about personnel matters with you.
Well, we all know that hundreds of career prosecutors have left the DOJ, and literally hundreds, we're told. And
Yeah,
you know,
Senator,
you've
are you
lost. The
familiar with the one
DOJ
that threw a
has
sandwich
lost.
at an ICE officer? Are you a Homeland Security officer?
is the
Are you familiar
reason-
with the one who went out on her lunch break and was
Ms. Bondi,
making obscene gestures?
would you say that DOJ losing these career prosecutors and the thousands of hours of experience they have prosecuting criminals, that is not a reassuring situation?
Senator, many employees took the fork in the road and resigned. DOJ is hiring committed prosecutors who will actually come into the office and work and not work remotely and
think we all
prosecute
know
violent
that-
criminals around the country and terrorists. And
When
I
you-
am very proud
you
of the
fire-
work all of our prosecutors.
I'm running out
are
of
doing.
time, so I think you should stop with your continuous interruptions, in my opinion. Mr. Chairman, I just want to close by saying that what was once the Department of Justice has become the Department of Revenge and Corruption.
Bottom line, Pam Bondi wins this exchange. She stayed measured, sharp, and in control, while Hirono swings wildly and misses. That Antifa question, that's the knockout punch. Bondi exposed the hypocrisy, stayed composed, and made it clear. The DOJ political games are not fooling anybody anymore. If you're tired of the double standard and you like the straight talk that cuts through the spin, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and turn on your notifications, because we've got more raw political showdowns like this one coming up every week. Stay tuned, because this fight between truth and narrative is just getting started. And there's Hirono's final meltdown, a long emotional rant about corruption and favoritism. Its fury is dramatic, but it is also incredibly hollow. Look, this is where she loses the room. Bondi stays calm, collected, and unbothered. Hirono's outrage sounds scripted, like she's performing for the cameras. When you're screaming about corruption while defending protests with Antifa members, the irony writes itself.
Rather than pursuing cases without fear or favor, this DOJ seeks to favor the president's friends and instill fear in his alleged enemies. If you're a friend of the president, this corrupt DOJ will bend over backwards to help you, just like it dropped the bribery investigation of Tom Homan, like it's considering paying money to January 6th rioters, and like it has put antitrust enforcement decisions in the hands of well-connected lobbyists. But if you're on the wrong side of this president, you will face the wrath of DOJ, no matter what the facts, law, or justice support. James Comey is indicted days after the president's social media directive. Experienced career prosecutors are fired just because they were assigned to work on January 6 cases. Blue states are sued to get highly sensitive private voter data, whereas red states are left alone. The double standard is clear, and the American people are waking up to the corruption and favoritism and the lawlessness at the DOJ. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond, Chairman?
Yes.
May I respond?
Yes, you may respond. Then Senator Kennedy.
Thank you. The double standard is crystal clear, Senator Hirono, crystal clear, because you didn't complain for 4 years when President Trump was being targeted by Jack Smith, by the last Justice Department. But the American people spoke loud and clear when they overwhelmingly elected him.
Bottom line, Pam Bondi wins this exchange. She stayed measured, sharp, and in control, while Hirono swings wildly and misses. That Antifa question, that's the knockout punch. Bondi exposed the hypocrisy, stayed composed, and made it clear. The DOJ's political games are not fooling anyone anymore. If you're tired of the double standards and you like the straight talk that cuts through the spin, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and turn on notifications, because we've got more raw political showdowns like this one coming up every week. Stay tuned, because the fight between truth and narrative is just getting started. Thank you for watching.
The two-tier system of justice is over.